Hello, all, and welcome to our YouTube channel, The Third Men Musings. It's now been 2 days since India got knocked out of the T20 World Cup. We all had high hopes and expectations. We all even thought of an India Pakistan final, but it was just not meant to be. And more than the result, I think all Indian cricket fans are saddened by the decisions that were made, right? Some things which looked very obvious didn't happen, and England just thrashed India by 10 wickets to knock India out of the tournament. Today we'll dissect and have a clear breakdown of what were the reasons that basically made India to go out of the tournament, and what should be the next steps now to ensure that we have a good 2023 ODI World Cup as a and a successful 2024 T20 World Cup as well. So over to you, Sumit, and let's start with what were the primary reasons which made India to lose this World Cup.
Yeah, so I think the first most obvious reason is the planning aspect. So you said, we need to plan for 23 and 24 World Cup. The issue with India is we plan for 1 year something and then we end up doing something else in the World Cup. So we'll cover that with different sections of batting, bowling, and the keeper situation. So let's start with the biggest problem, which was our batting and the lack of intent in the opening 10 overs. And even by the 15 over mark, we were at 100 only. And then Hardik Pandya's push and Chris Jordan's help to us helped us propel us to around 170. So
Yeah.
if there was Markwood, God knows what would have happened with us. So let's start with the batting and the openers. The number one question marks we had all through the tournament. So Rahul did score some 50s, but clearly against the minnows all over again. So whenever the crunch game came, he was again to the tentative Punjab Kings Rahul. And Rohit Sharma, we joke about it personally that he performs once in 5 matches. It works in Mumbai Indians because of the strength of that side, but in India it is not good enough. And playing as a specialist captain, which he was doing in hindsight, you could see the captaincy errors were too many. So we'll discuss that when we discuss the bowling.
Right.
So I think the main issue, let's start with the batting. Yeah, the openers, the lack of intent.
Right. And the most disappointing aspect was Sumit, and I think fans watching this podcast also will agree. 6 months back, we were told that India is going to change its approach after the debacle of the 2021 T20 World Cup, right?
Yeah.
That no matter what the match situation, even if we are 30 for 3, we will go for it and we'll try getting 180, 200. In a couple of matches, we might even get knocked out for 120, but that's okay. I mean, that's a small trade off you're doing to achieve a much bigger result, right? But come this World Cup, it's again the same thing, right?
Yes.
A pertinent stat here. India's average power play score in this tournament was 36 runs in 6 overs, which was lesser than what even Pakistan's traditional slow openers play. They scored 39,
Okay.
England's was 52. So, I mean, that is glaring. And the average wickets lost by India during the power play was 1 wicket. Now, I can understand in the semi final if it was, let's say, 38 for 3. Okay, you're trying to rebuild the innings and then build it, for a big finish at the end.
Hmm.
But with just 1 wicket lost in the power play, you no way should you have been at 38 for 1. You should have at least been 55 for 1. Right, and you should have finished the 10 over mark at maybe, let's say, 80 85 instead of being at 62. So I think that was a big momentum killer. Any thoughts on that one?
Yes, I mean, the template which was talked about, number one issue was it was played with different players because our big guns were always resting. So you were playing the template with a particular set of players, but when the real players, original players came, they were not used to the template, and you could see the gap there because other
Right,
people like Huda were being promoted, and Samson was there. They tried Pant, they tried Surya also in one match for opening. So they did a lot of hit and trial, and it worked. So the openers could not cope up. It's as simple as that. And the only two bright spots were Kohli and Surya. And we, it was hidden. Like Surya's amazing consistency, like the law of averages had to catch up with him. So sadly, it
yeah,
did in the
that
semis.
that was obvious. Yeah.
But he hit a lot of flaws in the batting because he used to give you 60 or 20. So all the slow starts were covered up for, and we never really saw this point, right? I think we're bringing
Right.
up this point today because he didn't score and we landed up with a subpar total even after Hardik's push. So it could have been seen earlier, and I think the number one indicator was the Bangladesh match, which we forgot in our joy that we won.
Right.
But seeing how Luton Das pasted us all over the ground, it was very clear that Adelaide was meant to be a batting paradise. And when Hayes and Butler are going to come, then you need to score 20 extra, if not 30. because your bowling is also not like Pakistan's, right? That you can defend any score. So you had
Correct.
to account for that. So the lack of intent was the biggest, I think, issue in the semis. But it was there all throughout. We didn't see it because of Surya's brilliance. And Kohli, with his template, right? He's going to give you 50 or 40 always. I think people are saying that he played a selfish innings,
Yeah.
but
No, no, I think he was fair on his part. He did
yeah.
what was right for
And if
the
he
team.
stays for
Yeah.
15 more balls, he will give you that 75 or 55 strike rate. So that's the way he plays. You cannot say anything because that's what's worked in the tournament. And he gave you that miraculous win against Pakistan, which again hit a lot of flaws, right? Because think about it. We won that miracle game because of him. We lost against South Africa and you lost against England. So all the big sides we actually did
We
not
lost.
play
We
so well.
messed it up. Yeah. Yeah.
So the indicators should have been the Bangladesh game for me, where we won narrowly because of Bangladesh's inexperience. And then Zimbabwe, we should have tried out our options. Where we tried out Pant, we didn't try out the best bowlers. We'll come to that very soon. So
Yeah.
coming to Pant, then now we are in the keeping situation, right? So I think I was pro DK, you were pro Pant for the longest time, and we both had our reasons. My reason was Pant's T20 record is not that great, and DK was in good form, and he did win you some matches in this interim period. Now my issue was you played DK for nearly a year, and then you suddenly dropped him. I know he messed up against South Africa. I won't count Pakistan because it was too last minute. But South Africa, he had a golden chance. He was set. He should have given you 20 more runs, and India would have won probably, because they dragged South
Right.
Africa to the last over. So the insecurity created by the management that, okay, if not DK, then Pant. And both are playing with that, right? With the axe on the head. I don't perform,
Right.
I'll be thrown out. So I think by the end we agreed Pant should have played, which was fine. But then when you played him in DK's role. So any thoughts on that?
No, again, yeah, it's about providing that comfort factor to the team, right? Now, again, both whenever you saw either DK bat or either Pant bat, both were, in constant fear that hey, I should not fail today. If I fail today, I'll get replaced in the next match, right? So, yeah, I mean, once they had, committed to DK, they should have stuck with DK, or if they had committed to Pant, they should have, clearly, given that role to him that in fact he should have been tried in the opener role, right? They should have
Yes.
told him, okay, you start in the power play with Rohit, maybe let Rohit take some time to get going, you just go helter for skelter, right?
Yeah.
Even if we fail, that's all right. My biggest pain point here is that the selectors went based on reputation rather than form, right? Now, a quick point on Rahul as well. Like, you saw he came back from injury, he was very nervous,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Every match against the big teams, it literally looked like he was right, like so tense that he'll get out the very next ball.
Anybody.
That's why his angle of the bat was coming at a different angle.
Yeah.
He was getting played on or caught behind, right? Now, even though we may make so many so much fun of Pakistan selections, but see what they did, right? They lost in their first two matches, then they brought in Mohammad Haris, a relative greenhorn, right? They told him, go at three. Even if you get out the first ball, it's okay. We have enough players in the
Hmm.
middle order, but we want 30 from 12 from you. And he just went and he killed all the bowlers, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't go by reputation. Then they brought in Mohammad Wasim as well. Again, another
For the
newbie,
balance.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't know why we are so stuck up that we want players with reputation. Instead, get in guys who will get results. And same thing on the keeping front. I think there should have been commitment, and Pant should have been given a greater role considering his success in Australia, right? So
Exactly.
he should have been given a greater role, and it was sad by the way the things panned out at the end. Neither DK was sure, neither Pant was sure. Very bad man management. Seriously.
And to top it, they brought in Pant, and he was brought in for the matchup, right, against the leg spinners. Now the leg spinners are bowling. Rashid was bowled out before. I think Butler was smart like that, but he was bowling Livingston in. And once Surya got out, logical step would have been to send Pant in, trouble
That
leg
was
spinners.
obvious. Yeah.
Probably Moeen Ali comes in and Kohli can take advantage. But the leg spinners continue to bowl because Pandya came in, and Pandya nowadays is a batsman in his head also, right? So he'll consolidate and he'll play like a proper batsman. He forgets that in this team his role is different. In Gujarat, he is the proper batsman, right? Because they don't have batsmen, so he has to play like
Right.
a proper batsman.
Right.
Here, he needs to understand he should have started a bit early. I think he was like us. He waited for Chris Jordan that he'll come, I'll hit him. He hit him. So smart on his part, but it cost us 20 runs. His slow approach, because Virat was going to play like Virat. He was going to strike in the last 3 overs, and he
Right.
would have if he had stayed. I trust his form, this new form he has now, right? So the keeping situation was very not handled properly, even though you got in Pant, you had the matchup, you didn't use the matchup, and now Pant is coming in the last 10 balls, which is the DK role, and he's doing the DK role. And in his defense, he hit a 4 with the SWAT,
Yeah.
and he got himself run out also to give Pandya the strike. So he did a decent job.
Right. He did whatever he could. Yeah. He did whatever
And
he could.
so coming to the
And
next part, the bowling, which is again the major question mark. So I think the biggest one is the all-rounder, supposed all-rounder we played at 7 all tournament combined with Ashwin. So we messed up again. Last World Cup we didn't play our best spinner, and this World Cup also we didn't play our spinner because of the balance. So yeah, I think we discussed, right, Chahel versus
yeah.
Ashwin. Both had their merits, but by this game it was very clear who they wanted on this Adelaide pitch for England.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I didn't even have problems with Chahar and Ashwin playing together.
Hmm.
Chahal and Ashwin playing
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
My problem was with Ashwin and Aksar playing together, right? Because again, if you see all throughout this tournament, it's so apparent. Okay, even if you're confused whom to go with, just see what your rival teams are doing, right?
Hmm.
Pakistan had Shadab, England had Rashid, Australia had Zampa, New Zealand had
So the
Sodhi, right? Sri Lanka had Hasaranga, right?
oh yeah,
All these teams and all these spinners in these teams took wickets, right? Shadab in fact turned the entire tournament around for Pakistan, right?
yes,
So that was obvious. I mean, okay, even at the start of the tournament, if you felt Ashwin and Aksar was your big combo, omitting Chahal for that England game was inexcusable
yes,
because England has always struggled against leg spin. You can remember Shane Warne tormenting them, right?
all life.
So I mean, playing Chahal was a no-brainer.
Hmm.
I don't know why at least he could have been tried in the Zimbabwe match. Once you were sure after the Netherlands South Africa result, you were sure that you would go through irrespective of whether you win or lose against Zimbabwe. That should have been the key to at least make him play against Zimbabwe, see how his ball is gripping on the wicket or not, and then given him a shot. That was like inexcusable, and especially Akshar had a bad game against Zimbabwe as well.
Every game.
3.2 overs, 40 runs, and he
Yeah,
got the last man out basically.
yeah.
So I mean, that was a big mistake. I think that was a tournament-changing mistake for us.
Yes, they should have tried. Once they saw the Akshar Ashwin combo is not working in Zimbabwe, Chahal should have been brought in because I get it. Directly putting him in a semi would have been risky because he's a leg spinner. So management should have thought ahead, knowing that they're playing England because by then we had qualified, right? So you knew
Right.
who are you going to play also.
It was a nothing to lose situation
Yeah,
actually.
and your number 7 is not batting effectively, even though we are uh, because we are not following the gung ho approach. So we are batting conservatively. So ultimately, we don't lose wickets. So your number 7, Ashwin was doing a fairly decent job, and Ashwin did come ahead of Akshar by the way in the semis also. So it was very clear who our number 7
Again,
was.
yeah,
Number 7 was
puzzling choice.
too much. And then coming to the paces, the one bright spot, Arshdeep, through and through. He is the next spearhead, and I hope to God he doesn't go the injury route. And they wrap him up in cotton wool because we cannot have another Bumrah situation. Because whenever some bowler bowls a Yorker, he gets injured in our country. So let's hope he continues on that path. Coming to the other two paces, Bhuvi, I had my doubts because of the pitch. If this was in England, he would have been effective. But you could see the first over and how Butler was going to counter him by walking down. So for some reason, they thought the good approach would be to get the keeper in front and kill Bhuvaneshwar's one chance to get Butler out. So that was very stupid. I mean, that guy has only one strength, and he has that strength only for 2 overs. And you are
Right.
killing the chance. And Butler was just, and again, this guy's slow. That's also another issue. 5-10 kilometers per hour more, and he would have been deadly. So Butler, I think those two check drives he played, his bat came and the ball didn't come. Then he had to wait, and then he flicked it, and then it went for boundaries. So the pace was a big issue. And
Yeah.
Shami being the enforcer, well, once Butler opened his hands, he looked like a club bowler sadly. So it didn't matter after that. So uh, the bowling is a big question mark besides Arshdeep and yeah, possibly Chahal who should have played. You don't have to bowlers who take wickets and who scare the batsman like Pakistan's bowlers, right? Every
Right.
bowler is a wicket taking bowler. So
Very conditions dependent bowling at
yeah,
time.
oh
Very
yeah.
condition. I mean, the minute the ball starts, coming onto the bat nicely, no swing, no spin, this attack is done for,
And
basically.
again, the Bangladesh match, a big indicator. You are getting thrashed by Leighton Das all over the park. It was very clear you do not have the ammunition. But our squad did not have anybody in our defense. And now Harshal Patel, again, I think Butler would have killed him once he got hold of the slow balls. So no, might have worked. I think again he would have been better than Akshar in hindsight.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
it you didn't have anybody to bring also. So you left yourself in a situation. This is it. What we have. Otherwise,
Right.
if Umran was never tested, and Siraj bowled his heart out in the last South Africa series, but he
Yes,
wasn't.
Sumit, I actually wanted to ask you that. Do you think an X factor bowler like Umran or Siraj did very well in that South Africa series, gave his heart out, bowled quick, right, upwards of 145, close to 150. Do you think that could have made a difference?
It could have, but again, you didn't play him, right? So there's this love affair with Avesh Khan, who was given God knows how many matches, and he was good in that one IPL season, I remember. But the last season, in Lucknow, he wasn't so good. So I think you need to give sets of 5 matches to each bowler. You are playing one bowler for 12, 13 matches, which Avesh played, and Umran got 2, 3. Umran, by nature, will get hammered, but he's so fast, he'll do the enforcer job better than anybody you have currently. So again, I'm sure he'll be now considered, because in hindsight, we always consider people once we lose a tournament. So
Right.
the next factor was missing, definitely. Like a Siraj versus Bhuvi, Siraj would have been better on these pitches, right? Because he gets the bounce, he puts that
Yeah.
pace, and without the swing, Bhuvi is useless,
Yeah,
right?
if the tournament was in England, Bhuvi would have been the most
Exactly.
potent weapon, right? Even South Africa for that matter. But in Australia, when especially the Kookaburra ball stopped swinging quickly, so I mean that was a bit baffling. And considering his Asia Cup, failures as well, that was a bit
Mm-hmm.
surprising. Another point that I wanted to bring up, Sumit, and please share your thoughts on
Mm.
this one. What do you think about the over dependence of data more than cricketing smarts, right? Because I saw somebody on one of the TV shows was saying that Akshar and Butler was a matchup.
Really?
Now yeah, they were saying because Butler sometimes is tentative against spin up
Oh
front
god.
and left arm spin,
But
if the ball grips on Adelaide wicket,
oh
then it might
boy.
be a good matchup. But the problem is, now you see the Indian team in this whole
Mm.
tournament played with the same 11, had the same set of thinking. Nobody was willing, whether it be the
Except
captain or the coach or the selectors, willing to use their cricketing brain in situations rather than that set formula. I think we are going the wrong way there. Data is helpful, but why are
mm,
we over relying on data and not modifying our thought process as per the match situation?
I think the data. I would love to know where this pitch was. I think it's IPL only where he got the Butler sometimes, and they think it's a matchup.
Yeah,
Because I don't see Butler struggling against Akshar's development unless it's a stop-start pitch, which I don't think you
correct.
get much outside, right? And this team talked about horses for courses for the longest time. I don't know which courses they were and where were these horses. We still don't know. Every pitch was treated same. Where Perth, Sydney, MCG, and everything was same for them. So this
Yeah,
horses or courses, probably they need to maybe understand what it means or just stop using it. So that's that comes to the next part, right? The future road ahead. Now, what are the issues? We discuss the issues, and I think we can go on for hours if we discuss
yeah,
each section. But future roadmap for me, I think the number one issue I saw was the way the last year was played out, wherein our captain was not with the team, and I think that's one thing very important. The captain needs to be with the team all throughout.
right,
Butler went to Pakistan this recently concluded T20 series. He was injured, but he went because you need to be with the team. Rohit Sharma, with his fitness concerns, is never going to be around for every series, let alone 3 formats. So that part needs to be sorted out by BCCI. That if your body can't take it, you can't do it. You need to make a call there. If he can't do it, you take a call for him. And this workload management, where people are just doing this workload management for Indian cricket and not during IPL. They
right.
took.
IPL they'll play all 16 matches.
Yes. So you cannot have this different players playing all throughout the end, then for ICC you get the old set of players again. There's no motivation, right? In our example, right? For if we have a project, our manager we say, "Arey man nahi aaj karne ka, please kisi aur ko rakh lo," and then he gets a new person. He does a better job than us. Our job is actually at risk in normal scenarios.
Right,
But here,
right,
no matter what the person does, I know you don't like Huda, but I saw him hit centuries when he was opening and playing at 3. But he knew it was to no avail, right? Because the top 4 is locked. So he's always going to play at 5 and 6, where his potential will never be explored. So they need to decide if you're basically build a specialist T20 team which plays all throughout. And if you want a completely new set of players like a 2007 reset, go for it. Let the seniors know that, okay, unless you're going to commit to it for the next 2 years, then no point playing in this format. I think that's one thing you can do, so that the chemistry builds, the captain plays all the time,
right.
and only people miss out when they're injured. So
Correct.
that's one
Yeah,
thing.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I
Mm.
think Now this tournament's exit should be a turning point for India, ideally like how the
like England.
2015 World Cup exit for England was,
Hmm.
right? Look at their results after that. They have made it to the knockouts of each tournament after that, right? And so it's very clear India now needs to have a separate test team, a separate ODI team, and a separate T20 team. And there should be any workload management. Identify the players for those teams, and all around the year they play matches for India together so that they know each other's strengths
Strengths and
and weakness.
weaknesses.
And I would go one more step ahead. I think what happens is whether it be a Ravi Shastri or a Rahul Dravid, again their mindset will also be like how the entire Indian team's management is, right? So you don't get that external perspective. Now let's say Pakistan, I think a lot of
Oh
credit
yeah,
should go
Hayden.
to Matthew Hayden, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's been that external sounding board who's come in and given in ideas. I would say go for Morgan as a consultant. I'm not saying drop Dravid as a coach, okay, it's too early, but bring in Morgan as a consultant and try to get his ideas, because he was the central figure in that overall England rehaul that happened, right? So get him as a consultant, get his thoughts on how we can revamp our existing structure. Because now if you ask any cricket fan right now, are you confident of winning the 2023 ODI World Cup?
No,
I'm sure many people will say no.
no,
I'm
no.
sure many people
Yeah,
will say no. So we need to make quick calls if we want to have any chance of winning that World Cup at home.
yeah. And I think the last point on this is the elephant in the room, which is not Rohit Sharma, as per the memes I've seen. So it's the IPL. So I like the IPL for the entertainment value, and it gives an opportunity to players who will never play for the country. I think it's a good way for them to earn money through their passion. So nothing against it, but it cannot be ahead of Indian cricket, and your players cannot play 16 matches into now the IPL is 2.5 months, by the way, which is further
Correct.
going to dent the fitness of our cricketers, and the subsequent tours you will see a lot of resting happening. So the mandate has to be clear to the franchises that these pros who need the rest time to time. See, Kohli can manage it probably because of fitness, but Rohit can't. Bumrah can't. You need to tell the MI management that okay, give them 10 to 12 matches in the entire tournament, space it out. That is the only way forward because IPL is not going anywhere. It's the cash cow now, and it's not going. If anything, it's only going to grow. Right now, it's
We'll have to live with it. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you need to work around it, and hopefully, so it has given you a lot of talent. I mean, you got Pandey, you got Bumrah, you got Samson, a lot of players. It created an issue where we have so much quality that we are confused who to use. So it's a problem of plenty, as they say, because Pakistan, if you think about it, they don't have players to back up. They have what they have. We keep ranting
Churning out
and yeah,
cricketers. Yeah.
and we're crying about things because we know there are so many alternatives available. There can be India B, India C also as of today, right? And they'll compete.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
not like they'll win, but they'll compete on a international level. So let's see how the IPL is also managed along with this. And I think the new
Yeah.
captain is Pandya, most likely, with the
Yeah,
squad
I think
announcement.
that is the writing is on the wall there.
For
I
Rohit,
think
yeah.
Rohit
So,
will be provided the ultimatum that you can continue in ODIs and tests, but T20 we have to move to a younger team. And I think we can end on that particular note that talent has to be given a chance. Even the IPS says we bring in more talent,
yes.
right? So I mean there are so many people doing well in Ranji, right? Whether it be Rajat Patidar and Samson is doing really well for T20s. At least bring in these guys. I'm not saying bring them directly for the ODI World Cup
Yeah, yeah,
next
yeah.
year. I think that maybe we are short on that now with just a year to go, right?
We will
Under a year to go.
we'll talk
But
about
at least
that.
for T20, bring that fearless approach. And remember, the side that won the Test series in Australia as well, that was after all the main players
Oh
got
yeah,
injured
yeah,
or went
yeah,
away,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And look what they did fearlessly. Nobody expected them to win, and what a turnaround from 36 all out, right?
So,
So
yeah.
back the youngsters, bring these youngsters in, and let's for the next World Cup at least have a have a couple of seniors maybe, but then the majority of the side has to be fearless
I thi-
youngsters. Any closing comments from you, Sam?
yeah, yeah. I think the last point that you made really resonated with me. 2007 T20 World Cup, the Australia series. After all the injuries, we've always won when we didn't expect to win. I think for
Right,
future World Cups, that's my expectation now. I'm not expecting to win. I'm just hoping to see some fearless cricket, and hopefully it comes together. Because I also feel there's so much burden on these players and the pressure they face. They look like something will happen to them if they lose. So that fearlessness is what I can just expect. And yeah,
right,
not to take India as furious because India is not a giant as we think. It is a giant
right.
commercially, but let's be
Yeah.
realistic now. We haven't won a trophy since ages, and we should
Hmm.
look at us like a see a growth curve now, basically. That we
Yeah.
become fearless first, become have the dynamic approach, and then hopefully the trophies follow. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact, whoever heard our prior podcast as well, the previews that we did, there also we had called out England and Australia as the probable finalists,
Yes.
right? So the thing again is, before we wrap up, nobody expected India to win. I think very few did, but I think these befuddling decisions that happened,
Yeah.
some decisions just didn't make sense. I think that hurt us more as fans rather than the actual result, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the lack of fight. I think
Oh
in
yeah.
the
Very
semi final,
disturbed.
once it was 63 for no loss in 6 overs, you saw Indian heads
Yeah. Yeah.
dropping, and there was still 100 runs to make, right?
No.
if
No. No.
if we got Butler and Hayes within the next 10-20 runs, you never know with that suspect middle order what could have happened. Hasranga and Tikshana troubled them in that match, right, before the
Mm.
semis. So I think the attitude has to change, and the intent definitely has to come out.
I think we have a new memory after the 2003 World Cup final. So yeah, that, I don't know which was more painful. I guess this
Yeah.
is more painful because that time, yeah, Australia was too good a team, right? So yeah, we
Yeah,
have a
I
new
mean,
memory
they
now.
were favorites.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were
So
favorites.
let's
Yeah.
see. Hopefully, we don't have any more new memories after this.
Yeah. So with that, we come to the end of our podcast. Hope you enjoyed this review. I know, even though we are saddened, but then we have an ODI World Cup to look forward to next year. So hope we pull up our socks and give it our best shot to win there. Please let us know what you thought of our comments and our analysis in this breakdown video. Do let us know if we missed out on anything. Let us know which points you liked and will stay with you post this video. And please look forward to our next video shortly. Till then, bye bye. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment to the Third Man Musings. Till then, take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.